Well, the first model about competitive advantage and competitive strategy we are going to study was created by Michael Porter. Yes, you knew it. Okay, Porter defined four competitive strategies based on the application of the use of two different advantages in two different scopes. Let's define it. Well, first of all, I'm going to be fast about this because we are going to get deeper into each one, okay? We will say that product differentiation means that, we try that our product is perceived to be different and preferred by the customers, by the potential customers. We will call that product differentiation advantage. Okay. On the other hand, we will call cost leadership when we try to reach that the cost of our product is lower than the cost of our competitors' products. Okay, so we have got two advantages: product differentiation, cost leadership. Okay, we can use them in many segments or in just one segment, okay, of activity. So we can say that if we use product differentiation or cost leadership in just one segment, we will call it a focus strategy. So we have got product differentiation strategy means we try our product to be different in many segments. Okay, cost leadership strategy, we try our product to have the lowest cost, a lower cost than our competitors in many segments, or focus strategy, which means either product differentiation or cost leadership, but used in just one segment. Okay, and I said four positions. Well, Michael Porter defines a fourth position, which is called getting stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle means that you are trying to get at the same time product differentiation and cost leadership, but you fail to reach both. Okay, you are not perceived to be different and you haven't got a lower cost, so you will have complications because you are not especially cheap and not especially good. Okay, well, let's get deeper into cost leadership advantage. Well, cost leadership means that the firm is able to put its product in the hands of the final customer at the lowest possible cost. That's the definition I would give about cost leadership. So it's not just about production. It's about being able to handle the product to the final customer. It's also about distribution. It's also about marketing and so on. Okay, so there are two options. Look at the left. Look at the left. The costs of the cost leader are lower than the costs of the competitor, but the margin, we set the same unitary margin for our product. So finally, our price is lower. If our price is lower, our turnover is going to be higher than my competitors. So I will get a higher return on assets. The same margin, higher turnover, higher return on assets. But look right, option 2. Option 2. My costs are lower. I've got a cost leadership advantage. Okay, so I choose to set exactly the same price than my competitors. Lower costs, same price. So my margin is higher. I have got the same turnover, so more margin. Okay, then I have got a higher return on asset than my competitors. I create more value. And why should I set the same price? Well, there are some industries which price is regulated. For instance, some medicines, antibiotics. Okay, the final price is fixed. So you only can aim if you produce a generic antibiotic, let us say amoxicillin, penicillin. Okay, you have got the price, the final price set, so you try to reduce your costs in order to increase your margin. Another industry which price is fixed, here in Madrid, taxes. Okay, in taxes, you know which is the price per kilometer and the price per minute, so the driver can try to be efficient driving. Okay, so we have got option 1 and option 2, but both derive from having a lower cost. Okay, and how can I have a lower cost? Well, there are different sources of cost leadership advantage. First of all, what we call experience effect or learning effect. Experience when it's referred to manual tasks, learning when it's referred to something wider, to the entire firm. Okay, it's a reduction of the cost, of the unitary cost, based on the historical accumulation of production. The more we have produced along the history of the company, the lower the cost is. And why is this? Because you learn to do the thing. You learn to do the thing you do it better, and especially you do it faster. And if you do it faster, you are able to produce more units in the same time. So the more you have done something, think about your own experience. The more you have done any task, the less time it takes you to do it. Okay? It was first discovered and analyzed in the aeronautic industry in America, in the United States, in the 1920s. And then it has been proved in different industries, especially in the automotive industries. Another cost reduction is the economy of scale. Economies of scale is a reduction of the unitary cost based on the volume of production, not on the history, but on the amount that you are currently producing. Okay? So it's different than experience effect or learning effect. Another different thing is that if you produce a lot of units, you will accumulate experience faster. So producing a lot will generate economies of scale right now, and in the future will generate experience or learning effect. Obvious. Okay? What else? Product or process redesign. Okay? Talking about product redesign, you eliminate from the product all the things which are redundant or which are not creating a special value for the final customer. Okay? So you reduce the costs. And about the process redesign, you are not using handcraft process, but you move to more systemic processes, such as assembly lines, such as automated production, and so on. Doing so, you are reducing the costs. Okay, obviously you can create cost controls. Think about the pandemics. We have avoided many presential meetings. Let us say 1 year ago, okay, some executives took planes to move from Los Angeles to Tokyo to have a meeting and then back. And this is this has proved to be mainly useless. And the cost, we can reduce that kind of suntuary costs. They are not creating value for the company, for the final product, or for anything. Okay, so we can try to eliminate these extraordinary costs that are not generating value. We can have the ability of adjusting the productive capacity, so we avoid excesses of resources. For instance, we can try to program the holiday time of our workers. Here in Spain, it's really typical that most of the workers of most of the companies have their holidays in August, whenever there are less customers. And that's especially useful, because if there are not going to be customers to be attended, okay, you can move your holidays to that moment. Okay, what else? A lower cost of production factors. You can, through different mechanisms, get to production factors at a lower cost. How? Well, maybe you can have privileged access to raw materials. Think about that. IKEA, for instance, has got its own forestry. If they have got their own trees, maybe the unitary cost of the wood can be lower. Okay? You can have a favorable location, which enables you to produce more units in less time. You can get bargaining power compared with your suppliers, so you can bargain and you can get your raw materials at a lower cost, or you can cooperate with suppliers. This is what Mercadona do. They have got long-range contracts so that the supplies they get the supplies at a lower cost, at a lower price. Okay, and finally, you can try to eliminate the organizational inefficiency, which has been also called X-inefficiency. So you organize the company in an efficient way, reducing the costs. Okay, look, here you have got Ford Model T. Okay, this was the first car produced in an assembly line. This assembly line was opened in Dearborn, Michigan in 1920. Henry Ford used to say, our customers can have a car of the color they want as long as it is black, because the car was standardized. The car was always as you can see it in the picture. Look, they started with a product redesign. They said, okay, the car is going to be exactly like this always. So this was the design of the car. Then they created this process redesign. The production process was an assembly line. They produced more units, so they got economies of scale, and they accumulated experience about doing it. The first unit of Model T, it took 1.5 days to build it, and the last one, it was a bit more than 1.5 hours or something like that. Okay, so obviously the cost, the unitary cost reduced. So long as they produced a lot of 4Ts, okay, they had bargaining power compared with suppliers. So they could get the supplies at a lower cost. So look, many different sources of cost reduction were aligned in this Ford Model T. Okay, so this is the reason why this was the car which made automotion, which made cars popular in the United States. Look, when is it especially optimum to use cost leadership advantage? Well, the starting point, undifferentiated products. When the product cannot be differentiated, so price is critical. There's an extreme we call commodity. A commodity is a product for which one unit is exactly equal to another unit, so you can easily replace it. For instance, 1 barrel of oil. So if you have got barrels of oil, the only way to compete against another producer is through prices, because 1 barrel of oil is exactly equal than any other barrel of oil. So when is it especially interesting to try to get cost leadership advantage? When there's a high price elasticity, so a reduction in price will mean an important increase in the sales of the company. What else? So the price is a critical success factor. When there's little place for differentiation, so the product is a standard. When the customer has got an important bargaining power, and when there are many possible cost reduction sources. And how do we put it into practice? Well, we try to use a functional organizational structure with not many levels, because if it has got many levels, this will increase the costs, with not a big staff of help, okay, and simple coordination. The management control must be about costs, controlling costs, and the incentives should be about reducing costs. Once we have created the cost leadership advantage, we will try to prevent them from imitating it. How? Well, first of all, through the scarcity or low availability of cost sources. If I have got an exclusive access to a raw material, my competitors cannot get it. If my competitors cannot get it, they cannot imitate it. Okay. Also, we can use complex sources or a combination of sources of cost leadership. This is what I told you about 4T model. 4T model results from a combination of sources of cost leadership advantage. Which are the risks of cost leadership advantage? First of all, cost leadership is an endless race with only one winner. There's only one company which has the lowest cost of the industry. Well, there are some other companies which have got a low cost or cost which is reduced and so on, but only one which wins. And it's an endless race. What does it mean? Okay, you need to constantly pay attention to cost reduction. You need always to look for new cost reductions in order to remain competitive. Okay, experience effect can be destroyed by a blow. What does this mean? Imagine that, look, let's talk about Ford Model T. Okay, when we reached the 1930s, American people, once they had covered their basic need to have a car, okay, they considered that they didn't want to have a car, exactly the same car that their neighbors. They wanted to have something different. They wanted to have a colored car, beautiful one, and so on. Okay, so they got fed up of Ford Model T. Okay, this eliminated completely the experience effect that Ford Model T had created. Obviously, it had profited for years from it. But look, experience effect was eliminated. Also, experience effect can generate rigidities. You get used to the things in a way, and you are not able to adapt to changes, not easily. Okay, the imitation of competitors is another risk. If my competitors get to know that I have got a cost leadership advantage based on this or that, they will try to imitate it. A cost inflation can also be a menace. If there's a cost inflation, then my product will cease to be cheap. will cease to perceive to be cheap. So cost leadership will not be probably a good way to compete. Sometimes we reduce too much the quality of a product trying to reduce the costs. We eliminate things that we shouldn't eliminate, so our product is perceived to be cheaper, yes, but worse, and this is a problem. Okay, there can be also changes in the perception of customers. Customers which previously appreciated importantly costs and cost leadership cease to appreciate it and prefer a good product than a cheap product. And finally, focusers can be a menace because focusers can be able to get a product which is cheaper, which has got a lower cost than ours because they are specialized on that product.